Hi, Hayden here, and in this video I basically go through how to exchange out a GFCI, that's a ground fault current or circuit interrupt. So it's a GFCI outlet. This is what I'm going to do in this video. This is already the end result, but I'm going to show you how I did it in the video. I'm also going to discuss a regular outlet. We changed out this regular outlet as well. But what I want to do up front is I want to give you the caveat. This is electricity. I am scared to death of electricity, and the one thing I aspire to not do is to die stupid. I've worked on too many legal cases where people were electrocuted, and in every single one of the cases, it wouldn't have been a case unless somebody else was negligent. It never needed to happen, okay? So in all the cases I've ever worked on where people were electrocuted, they did indeed die, and there was no reason for them to do that. There was no reason for their death. The way I work with electricity is I work scared, same way I drive. And I turn off the power to the entire house. I don't play around. The last thing I want is maybe some wiring got goofed up somewhere in the wall and something's still hot. Even though I turned off the power at the fuse box, somehow, some way, you know, let it be. Somewhat wire is done wrong and I get zapped. So I'm not going to play around with that, and I shut the power off to the entire house. If you have any problem working with electricity at all, hire a professional to do it for you, all right? So with that, let's get into how we changed out these two outlets. Hi, Hayden here. You might hear chirp in the background. He's in the next room. In this particular video, I'm going to be changing out what used to be a GFCI, or a ground fault circuit interrupt outlet here. This was originally a GFCI outlet here, but for some reason or another, it was either wired incorrectly originally, or something happened to it and it wore out or whatever, but it went bad. Let me move the camera here for a second. I'm going to come over to this other outlet that I've already changed out. And on this one here, the brass side is where the hot wire, the black one here is the hot wire, and then the white one is the neutral, and the bare wire, bare copper wire is the ground. These are properly connected. However, I don't know if we can see it so well, but let me pull out this one here as an example. You know, this is what the GFI looks like, but the copper is where the hot wire goes. The silver is where the white wire or the neutral wire goes. And then the green connector is where the ground wire goes. That's the bare copper wire here. There is another set of screws on this particular thing, and we're gonna actually be pulling this off, because that's where this, I'm borrowing my screwdriver here. That is actually where this other set of connections goes. I'll explain that a little bit better in a second. There we go. So we'll take our little warning here off. What that warning was telling us, I'm gonna make an adjustment here to the camera. There we go, a little auto connect in here, auto correction. Again, the brass or the yellow screws is where the hot or the black wire goes, all right? The white screw or the silver screw is where the white wire, okay, which is the neutral wire, that's where that connects. And then the bare wire below connects to the ground, and here it's kind of on the side. It's that kind of over here on this particular outlet. But what I want to talk about here is the fact that there's 4 screws on these different outlets. And the top screws are where you make their connections. Okay, so the hot and the neutral go up on top. And then this is actually connecting over to the other outlet, which is the one I'm going to work on here. All right, so let's come back over here. Let me make a little change to the legs on the tripod. And I'm going to hit the auto correcting for light again. All right, so that's that auto exposure. This outlet's not supposed to be here. I just connected this here up to test it to make sure that the wiring was good and working everything else. What I'm about to do, what you're gonna see here, is I'm gonna change this, this outlet for this one here, and this will be the GFCI, and then we'll test it to make sure everything works as it should. So stand by, I'll be right back. All right, back again, and what we're doing here is we're looking at the wiring thing. Now, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on the cell phone video that I'm making, but there's basically a white wire here, all right? There's a black wire over here. This set of wires goes over to the other outlet. This black wire here and this white wire here come from the fuse box. And then this one here is basically a ground wire, and it's been twisted, connected with this green, kind of a special green, you know, the kind of thing you twist, a wire twist. You twist it, this thing on the wires and make a connection. This one here has a hole in the top of it, so they allow a single wire to come out through the top to make a single ground connection, which is going to go onto this GFCI. The thing here though is these two wires on the left-hand side have to connect to the top two wires, screws on the GFCI. These two wires connect to the bottom two screws. So what that means is the blacks the blacks also connect to the brass ones, and these white ones connect to the silver screws on the thing. So basically I need to cross these wires over, but I need to make sure that I have the proper ones on top and the proper ones on the bottom, because that would make a severe problem for me down the road. The ground wire itself is just that single wire, so that's fine, there's no problem there. So I'm going to make these connections and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I've made the connections, all the proper connections to the GFCI, and I've also made the proper connections over here. Now I'm going to do a loose test before I shove everything back in the wall and turn it on, and I'm going to tell you it works because I've already tested it. But before I blew myself up on video and died dumb, let me do it again. This light goes on, that works, and I want to wrap myself up in the cord here. Am I lighting the shot here? That works, and that works. Now I want to make a mention about the GFCI. The GFCI, let me bring the camera back over here a little bit. The GFCI comes in what is called a tripped position, so you have to reset it. When you install this thing, you kind of need to get your light plugged in or whatever test. They basically say a lamp. So get your lamp plugged in, ready to go and everything else, and when you turn the breaker on, then the light should light up. So you maybe want two people with this particular kind of operation. Again, actually not again, I'll put text on the front of this video. You probably should have seen it by now. I am not a licensed electrician. I am not anybody else but a homeowner who can read instructions from the manufacturer. And the manufacturer's instructions might look confusing as hell, but they're not. They're very, very simple. Basically, if you can follow the lines, you could probably do this. If you're at all squeamish, I highly recommend that you hire a licensed professional to do this for you, because it's electricity, okay? And in my field of work, I've done too many video depositions and too many cases I've worked on where people were electrocuted, so don't play around with electricity. I turn the entire house off whenever I work on it, and but with that, if you can follow the instructions and you can keep your wits about you and be safe with it, I would say that generally, if you kill the power to make sure that the power is dead and everything else, then this is actually a pretty easy thing to do generally. But again, in all seriousness, if you're at all queasy working with electricity, hire a professional to do this, okay? It's not worth it. It's not worth it, all right? But with me, this thing here worked great. We're going to get this thing wired back, and we'll show you the final look when it's when we have everything screwed back into place and with the covers on. All right, catch you in a minute. All right, Ray Hayden here. The job's all done. Everything's been disconnected and reconnected, changed out, and everything's been pretty much safety checked too. We're just going to go ahead and check this light in all of these outlets to make sure that it works. Hey, by the way, I wasn't doing some fancy dancing step. I just didn't want to get tied up in my microphone cord. And just check it out here. And one more time. All right. Now, you probably can't see it. All right. In the video, you may or may not be able to see it. But at the bottom of this outlet, down here in the corner, there is a little green LED light. It's not very bright. It's not going to be a night light for you or anything like that. But that is indicating that this outlet is properly connected, all right? So I just wanted to share that with you all. And with that, this job is done. It's a very successful job. We're very happy with it. And my wife, who wasn't in the shot whatsoever, was a tremendous help to me in all of this. She's my eyes, she's my safety net, and she pays attention to what I'm doing as I'm doing it, so I don't injure myself in the process. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to get half the things done that I do. So with that, until I catch you in the next video, take care and be well.